All right, this video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her homework and research regarding the information being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you need to seek a competent professional, please do so at one's own leisure. It is encouraged. Dorsey's Resource is not liable or responsible for any misuse of this information. These are simply my opinions and views on the topic. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Now, let's get started. All right, I wanted this video to be about censorship and agenda of the ruling class. This is kind of like a freestyle. I do have some notes, previous notes that I've taken, things that I've discussed a while ago before. Some of this information was in some previous videos that I uploaded a long time ago that I won't go into the details why I had to remove. It's kind of old information, but it's the reason why I'm going over this again. The reason I'm going over the censorship, and this is new, the agenda of the ruling class. They're attempting to sabotage our success in many areas. Those of us who are trying to become free, independent. They are also using the Democratic Party as an attempt to overthrow the country and circumvent the rule of law, the Constitution, and using their gatekeepers who have, some of them at the very top, have broken and violated many laws in the highest positions of power of major judicial misconduct. But this is what we are dealing with. They also are threatening content creators by this illegal censorship. This is actually the Russian meddling. This is illegal. This is unconstitutional. These are discriminatory practices. These are also violations of antitrust laws. When major media organizations such as CNN and MSNBC insist on trying to sabotage other media organizations and try to get them banned, even individuals that work for their networks, this is a form of torturous interference. This is a violation. This is breaking the law, believe it or not. But they're attempting, the reason why this is an attempt to basically brainwash people. This is an attempt to steer away people from researching the information. This is an attempt to keep people from learning the truth about their legal system, about their history, and the things that are going on in this world. This is why they force feed the entertainment through Hollywood. They use their Hollywood gatekeepers, entertainers, and stars to push these causes or whatnot. We'll catch your full video later. Keep putting up the good work. Thanks for what you do. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the chat, M. Brown. I understand. I would have liked to come before you guys earlier, but as you guys can see, I'm on the graveyard shift or whatnot. So I am going to try to work on bringing you guys content during the day where I can reach more people. So I do understand some of you all have to sleep. Get your rest. I appreciate you for jumping in really quick. With the video, to get back on topic once again, there was an event I attended some years back. Some of you all may know from previous videos I've done, known as the Pastor Tony King Seminar. That's what PTK stood for. It is a reason why I decided to go public. I was very displeased at the way the turnout happened. There was an elite group of people. They were going over information with us about the private sector. I studied in what was known as the sovereign citizen movement. And no, I do not claim to be a sovereign citizen. That is actually no such thing. There were some people that mentioned that using two nouns, they're not properly in the proper context, but actually dealt with being a private citizen, because the State Department only classifies 4 types of citizenship. What I understand: a private form, national, U.S. citizen, resident alien, and non-resident alien, and maybe a 5th one or something else. I may have it mixed up a little bit, but I've got that confirmed by high-level source that I have. I know I talk to Masons and people that are members of high-level secret societies, so this shows credibility. I also have friends that have secret security clearances. I didn't know this originally. I found this out years later, so it's not like they volunteered to bring the information out. So no one broke any laws or anything. I did my own research and connected pieces, but they confirmed when we would get in private conversations, because they can't stop people from talking and sharing information with one another. So in case you guys are wondering how I get some of this information, it comes from in-depth research. You cannot just be a weekend warrior. You have to have an open mind, think out of sight, out of mind, and take a closer look. Don't just buy what the mainstream media is telling you. Now, I still do read and see the articles from mainstream media, because I had a relative that told me, I go to Yahoo search engine. That's primarily the search engine I use, where it has the headlines, just like MSNBC or MSNBC, that some of the cable companies have partnered with, where they'll show, like, you guys know, like the news feed with all the latest stories across the country are. So that's where I'll cross-reference information, but I follow the alternative media as well as alternative media websites that, you know, puts out sometimes more information, more in depth than the mainstream media will put out. But this agenda, I did say the topic is about censorship and the agenda of the ruling class elite. So once again, they want to steer you away from learning and researching the truth, learning the laws. They want to brainwash you. You know, that's part of this attempt to threaten, use their gatekeepers to threaten content creators. And like I said, to go over, they are breaking the law. This is discriminatory practices. This is a violation of antitrust laws. Torturous interference when one media organization is trying to lobby to have another media organization shut down as well. And there's some other laws as well, but they definitely are breaking the law when they pick and choose, because it's people out there that have done far worse things, like when they banned Alex Jones for so-called hate speech and bullying. There's people that are still have Twitter accounts that have threatened the president, and people far worse, far greater. Evidence is on there. They have different accounts. Some people have cataloged and stored. They may be turning over to law enforcement or cataloging, but their accounts are still up. So this is hypocritical from Twitter, because a federal judge actually ruled that, for example, that Trump, he had a lot of trolls and he was blocking them out, I guess. And they said that the reply section is a public utility. And this is the equivalent of if say the cell phone company Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, Cricket, or Metro PCS said, we don't like what you talk about on your phone line, so we're going to cut your service off. This is the same, no different. This is the equivalent. So they cannot pick and choose when they have a platform that's open to the public. It's supposed to be equally fair, no matter if you're liberal, conservative, and I'm coming from a nonpartisan, bipartisan perspective. So just keep that in mind. Some other points, once again, the agenda of the ruling class elite is these elites, many of them were taught by their parents. They were sent to private schools by invitation only. Please check out Pastor Lindsey Williams' documentary called Secrets of the Elite. If it's still uploaded on YouTube, you can watch it for free. But if you do have the money, I do encourage you to support Pastor Lindsey Williams, buy his DVD. He's confirmed he lived with the elites many years ago. There is a faction of a ruling class elite people that is absolutely indeed very real. And by the way, I can pull out, hopefully I should have a dollar bill, which I do. See if I can find a clearer one. Okay, and see right here, I can start off, of course, I won't go into the details, but you know the letter G on the front that identifies the Federal Reserve Bank. These serial numbers are from the bond. QSIP numbers are from the new babies that are being born. That's listed generally, I believe, on the back of people's Social Security card. You know, I did give a disclaimer. I can neither confirm nor deny, but just for reference, that definitely is this letter. Different dollar bills are going to have the letter which Federal Reserve Bank it's printed out of. And this is from, it says series 20 or 2003. I thought it said 2013. It may say 2013 series. This is pretty much what Federal Reserve note. Someone says when it says "In God We Trust," they say actually some people have said out there actually stands for Government Ordnance Division. There's some other symbols in the corner that deals with the owl or whatever with the cobwebs. I don't know too much about that, but the back of the dollar bill, Novus Ordo Sacrorum, is Latin. Well, Nuit Coeptus, Novus Ordo Sacrorum means one world order or new world order without God. And the year that, and Roman numerals at the bottom of the pyramid, down here, you can vaguely see it. You may need a magnifying glass. It's the year 1776, which happens to be the year the United States was founded. Also the same year that Adam Weishaupt founded the Bavarian Illuminati in Bavaria, Germany. He was commissioned by Amschel Bauer, Rothschild. Bauer was the original surname. Rothschild was German for Red Shield. That's what a lot of people don't know. The movie documentary Money Masters, this is why I kept going over this documentary where I get this information from. Many of this information is declassified, it's public. You guys can research this. Don't take my word for it. You can look it up. But that's why I went over. Please check out the documentary Money Masters and Monopoly Men. You can watch these documentaries for free on YouTube. They will provide validity and confirmation. Of course, you have the Great Seal. A fellow Mason some years ago broke down to me what this meant. This eagle is a form of a predator. Notice that it's a symbol, and they stated that these leaves that the eagle is holding up represents the 13 original colonies, and these arrows represent that they took these colonies by force. It's the symbolism, and these stars supposedly, allegedly represent the victory that they took, because America is the military arm of the world. The Vatican is the religious arm. London, England represents the financial arm of the world. And you will understand these things when you study more in depth. I also recommend there's another documentary called Ring of Power, Empire of the City. Please check out Ring of Power, Empire of the City. You can watch these documentaries for free on YouTube. I recommend you get a download software. You download them, document them, share them with loved ones, family members, aunties, nephews, nieces, grandmas, and great aunties and whoever, all the like. So it's put out there so they know it's confirmed. So in case, because of all the censorship, they try to remove it, it's already well documented. So just a recommendation. And this will provide validity and credibility behind the information I'm going over, dealing with the ruling class elite and the reason why they want censorship and to bring in this new world order or one world government, which they want to see everybody microchipped either in the head or the forehand. If some of you all study in the Christian church, I learned about Bible prophecy, the book of Revelations, the book of Daniel. It's like equivalent if you play sports, football. It's basically the New World Order, the Illuminati's playbook, what they plan to do. Nick Rockefeller years ago admitted this to a former movie producer who was running for governor at the time, Aaron Russo, rest in peace. He passed away some years ago of cancer. And Aaron revealed some things when he met Nick Rockefeller some years ago that admitted, he asked what was their overall goal, what was the agenda. This is confirmed. This is declassified. You can look up online, look up who Aaron Russo was, look at his documentary he produced called America, Freedom to Fascism. Check out America, Freedom to Fascism. And also Alex Jones, many years ago, interviewed Aaron Russo. If you can still find that interview, please check that out. Alex Jones interviewed, once again, Aaron Russo. He revealed some major things. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but this is how I've already done my research, my homework. I'm very well studied. I read articles online, as I mentioned earlier. I compare notes, I cross-reference, and I can tell who's lying and who's not. And CNN is not the same news network they once were years ago. Many of these mainstream media outlets have sold out to the globalist ruling class elite. They put pressure on big tech companies such as like Apple and Facebook and Twitter and Google. Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, Tim Cook over Apple. They have slave fishnet factories over in China. From what I understand, they're directly tied in with the Chinese government. They have slave labor camps. This is called, many years ago, I had teachers in high school, grade school, tell me how these companies outsource jobs and move them overseas so they could get cheap labor. They could pay these people less, and then it took jobs away from American citizens and people over here and weaken our economy. Where Trump was trying to bring with this trade war with the tariffs, at least I understand the prices may be higher, but it's to bring jobs back to our economy, and the money that these countries are getting from us from the trades that they do. A lot of the funding was leaving out of the United States and wasn't coming back in, where he's trying to balance everything out the way it's properly supposed to be. But this is what the globalists, they wanted to break America and turn this thriving, rich country overall into a third world nation, as they've done in other countries where they've invaded, murdered indigenous people there and collapsed them. And that is their goal. And that's why they pin different groups of people and ethnic groups against one another. You have to study and understand political science. It's not nothing personal. But George Soros, he was known, look at his interview that he did with CBS some years ago. Study that interview. He's known for going into different countries and collapsing them, their economies, pinning different groups. They study the demographics, the religions of different people in these countries, what they're into, so they can pin them against one another. They also fund anarchist groups like what they're doing over here in America, such as Black Lives Matter, Antifa, women's feminist groups, etc., even white supremacist and black supremacist groups, all funded or tie in, connect to George Soros's Open Society Foundation, as well as other elites that have other foundations where it's a form of money laundering, where they funnel the money and they pin these different groups off, and they'll have operatives that belong to secret societies within these protests. Well, there'll be innocent people who think that they'll be fighting for their cause, but won't know that the leader of their protest or organizer is a fellow Freemason, an Eastern Star, or belongs to a fraternity or sorority behind the scenes. These are the gatekeepers. This is the mechanism that they have in place. To a lot of people may not understand this. I recommend read David Icke's book, Children of the Matrix, and some of his previous books. They will help you connect the dots even behind some of these religious secret societies, such as the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, which was started by Joseph Smith, and the Watchtower Society, the Jehovah's Witnesses, which was started by Charles Taze Russell, who was also a Freemason, just like Joseph Smith. Charles Taze Russell. And Charles Taze Russell was not only a Freemason, he belonged to a Rosicrucian Lodge as well. And Albert Pike, who started the Ku Klux Klan, was also a 33rd degree Freemason. So you see the connection here. It's not a coincidence. That's how they put operatives, but they have to belong to a secret society. They have to be initiated, just like many lawyers and judges. So you can kind of connect the pieces. But doesn't mean that all these people that belong to these organizations are corrupt. You do have light workers, just like you have good people within our government that want to bring in good checks and balances, that don't want to bring us to this totalitarian global new world order that wants to see everyone microchipped, where they want to track you everywhere you go, even in your most intimate moments, while you're having sex, while you're using the bathroom. Because the chip, they'll be able to hook up to a device, they'll be able to see and track your every movement, just like they're already doing with the cell phones when they admitted with the NSA spying. So that's one of their ultimate goals. So once again, the elites I mentioned, many of them were taught by their parents. They were sent to private schools by invitation only. They're given updated information within their secret networks, just like with the Bilderberg meetings. They have the other meetings, World Economic Forum, the Davos group. Those are like the public side or day side meetings, where the Bilderberg, they never wanted it to get out. But there was investigative journalists and people for years that brought that to light, that forced the mainstream media in some countries and even here in the United States to cover it. But it was also a violation of the Logan Act when certain politicians could be caught going, that was like a $200,000 fine, because they have these laws where you're not supposed to collude and meet in secret if they're a politician over here in America. I don't know about other countries, but they have these rules in place. There's supposed to be transparency. It's part of transparency will tie in with the due process, where you're supposed to be given notice if someone plans to sue you or come after you. That's part of due process of law. You have to give notice or whatnot, and that's part of transparency. This is so another agenda. Their overall goal is to reduce the world's population. Greetings to you, Camilla Barnes. Thank you, Russell Thomas, for good job. Love your videos. I appreciate you all for joining in the chat. Just wanted to acknowledge you really quick as well. Thank you very much. The overall goal is to reduce the world's population, make humans obsolete. This is why Kanye behind the scenes, I hear from a credible source that was interviewed by Alex Jones some months ago, said behind the scenes, Kanye is really not in a sunken place. Kanye really loves, he cares about people. He's really awake to the truth, and he wants to help change the world. He's friends, I found out from listening to his interview he did recently where he came back to Chicago at the radio station. Very powerful interview. He did confirm he is friends with Elon Musk. So that's confirmation. I first heard about this on Alex Jones's show, which the mainstream media claims he's controversial, fake news. No, Alex Jones overall is very accurate, has very credible sources. And I wouldn't have known this, that Elon Musk allegedly attended some event where the elites talked about they want to reduce the world's population. They want to commit mass genocide and kill off a massive amounts of people. They've written about it on the Georgia Guidestones, where they want to reduce the world's population down from like whatever we're at, 6 to 8 billion, down to 500 million. That means a lot of people got to go, no matter what race, skin color you are, etc. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. But I heard he partnered up with Kanye. It's about the bigger plan, the bigger agenda of trying to save humanity and stop this terror that these very wicked, evil people that are sinister are planning. There is indeed an Illuminati, as I went over earlier, that are trying to replace us, that want to replace us also with robots. But this is how they're pushing, the reason why they're pushing these agendas. I did give a disclaimer, and I don't mean any offense to anyone on here. I'm just going over, this is the agenda they have. They're going to eventually betray the illegal immigrants and undocumented workers. They want to put them on welfare, and everyone they want on welfare. They want to destroy the middle class, and they want to bring us down to a third world country. They want to take away prosperity. They want to get rid of brick and mortar stores, which you already see many major stores, bookstores have closed down. You know, people can't work, or they have trouble finding work. They can't make ends meet. You know, you're already seeing this happen. You're seeing at the grocery stores, they have self-scan machines, so they're replacing us with robots. They're advancing technology. This homosexual agenda is being pushed on purpose by the mainstream media. This is no disrespect to LGBT. Just please understand this agenda. They live perfectly normal lives. The superclass elite have perfectly normal lives amongst themselves, where some of their children, they don't want them to belong or be part of these agendas, but they're doing this to everyone else on the planet because they consider them lower class or goyim. If you look up the people that really run and control the banking system, the planet. And this is why they're pushing this homosexual agenda, to break apart the family structure, bring in a more decadent, corrupt society with promiscuity, you know, to bring in moral decay, a deplorable class of people that will be promiscuous, and again, break apart the family structure. Again, this is not, if that's your lifestyle, I'm just going over, you know, that's, you know, your business. I'm just going over the agenda. Please understand that. I mean, no offense to you. This is the agenda of the ruling class elite. They want to strip away the guns, even from police officers under the UN treaty. Under the UN treaty, they want to accomplish that. Keep in mind, they also train, fund, and create all the terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda, Assad, the Mujahideen, the Muslim Brotherhood, Boko Haram, ISIS. They put dictators in power like Hitler, General Mao Zedong of China years ago. They had that incident at Tiananmen Square where college students protested in China back in the 60s, and they murdered or killed a lot of those protesters. That was under General Mao. He got rid of the old traditions to bring in communism and enforce that. But he went to Harvard. He was trained by our intelligence groups because there was a plan put in place many years ago, just like Idi Amin, in Africa. He was the dictator, leader of Uganda at one time. They made a movie with the actor Forrest Whitaker, who played in the movie Black Panther. He played in a movie called The Last King of Scotland. That was based on the dictator Idi Amin. He was put in power by the elite. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the names, but you all get it. Mubarak, Mugabe, who's over Zimbabwe. The British put him in power. They're directly in line with the United States. Their MI5, MI6 is the equivalent of our FBI, CIA. That's what the James Bond movies are based off of, to kind of give you guys an idea. They also put Gaddafi in power. Muammar Gaddafi, then they overthrew him once they get rid of you. And they didn't like what Gaddafi was trying to do to start a gold-backed currency. That was a threat to the Federal Reserve that is behind going into other countries and collapsing economies and trying to force them to submit and doing the thing like they do with the birth certificates and QSIPs, people on the currency system. Basically, that's what kind of a sum up. So they put Gaddafi in power. Many other people. That's just a short list. You have to understand MI5, MI6 is the equivalent of our FBI, CIA, Russian KGB, Israeli Mossad. There's a globalist network of deep state operatives behind the scenes, and they play chess on a world scale for world domination of resources, but they use these intelligence agencies to basically go in, collapse countries, tear them apart, whatnot. And America is one of the last strongholds. This is why they're after Trump so hard, believe it or not, because he's a nationalist. He's not a globalist. This is why also, and I hear in England, the UK, they want to pull out of Brexit because Brexit is tied in with the European Union, where an unelected body of super ruling class elites would govern your modern politicians. Like you have the North American Union, African Union, European Union, that's behind the connecting for them having the ability to implement their New World Order. That's the infrastructure they're trying to push in place. And the elites are mad because a lot of the British people are waking up around the world, even in Brazil, because globalism is very wicked. It's totalitarian, as I kind of went over earlier, so you guys will have an understanding. So just to give you guys an idea, these people don't have our best interest at heart. They pretend to mean well on the surface in the public's eye. They try to put presidents in place like Obama, just people that appear like a people's candidate on purpose. That's very appealing, but behind closed doors, he was already trained by the CIA or had deep connections, just like Hillary Clinton. So they put people like on the front, like a front face, that have an image of looking very appealing to the general population. And this is why they're tearing down Trump so bad, because he's actually trying to, he's a nationalist, not saying he's perfect, but he's not going along. He's not your traditional candidate similar to John F. Kennedy. He's outside of the box. Even though Trump rolled in that category where he knew Henry Kissinger because he was a billionaire, so he's one of the few he's not bought off. Like Obama, when he took office, had a net worth. They mentioned this on national TV, him and Michelle around 4 or 5 million. And then he left office. He's now worth 100 million. Barack Obama, you can look it up. That's called corruption. So he sold out, but he was already trained by our CIA or whatnot. So just keep that in mind. Hold on real quick, guys. I'm going to be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, as I was saying, you know, going over this really high-powered information here. So, it's to give you guys an understanding. So, they're disguising their intent as well behind, you know, they use the people on the front, on the surface, to appear like they mean well, but they really don't, actually. So this was to give you guys a better understanding of their agenda and what they're doing with their planning. I just wanted to kind of go over, and this pretty much wraps it up to kind of help you guys connect the dots. So like I said, to kind of reiterate earlier, Obama, when he came into office, they mentioned this on national TV, had a net worth of around 4 or 5 million. But with his book deal, the Netflix deal, they say he's worth over estimated 100 million. The difference with Trump, he's not bought out. His salary, he actually donated, I hear, his second year. You know, he mentioned this, you know, in office. So his second year, he already donated his salary or whatever away. He also donated to Hurricane Harvey last year $1 million. He also gave a soldier's family that had died $25,000 check. I know that was reported in the news. And MSNBC had to admit, I noticed right after Trump took office, because recently I heard Obama just started giving these speeches taking credit for the good economy, when it was really Trump that was behind increasing the GDP and bringing jobs back. And MSNBC, which doesn't like Trump, right after he was elected, they had to admit this right on national TV with Lester Holt. I saw it with my own eyes. I was over a relative's house who voted for Hillary, whatever. So I was like, wow, this is actually true. But I first heard about this on the Alex Jones show, which they try to say is fake news. But he was mentioning how Trump is bringing jobs back. I even know a guy, an older guy within the black community that's working again, has a family, called me, was real happy. And I'm just seeing things, but the economy was falling apart under Obama. You know, it wasn't like he's trying to take credit, but this was really Trump's doing, and MSNBC had to admit this right after Trump was elected. It's already on record. So whether you dislike the man or not, this is facts and evidence. And I just went over censorship and the agenda of the ruling class elites. And if you guys did take the time to watch this video, I want to sincerely thank you. You can follow me on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource, on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, and I'm on YouTube at Dorsey's Resource. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. I appreciate you guys, and until next time, and also don't forget to subscribe. Take care. Peace.